Hey folks, Crazy Climber 80 here again, and this time we're going to look at a game called Astro Invader, and this was created by a company called Leijac, who was later better known as Konami, in 1980 and licensed to Stern for US arcade markets. This game was originally called Kamikaze, and it's not bad. It looks like it has a color overlay, but it's actually in color. Not just black and white with a color overlay, and it's kind of okay for its time. Had directional buttons to move you left and right, and a fire button. And this was also featured in a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers video of "You Got Lucky," and there's Tom looking at a Astro Invader cabinet. It's covered with plastic, and he ends up pushing the arcade cabinet over in the video, which it's probably really hard to do because arcade cabinets are so freaking heavy. But we will look at both the Astro Invader, the US version under the Stern license, and also the original game Kamikaze. But yeah, Konami was known as Leijac at this time, and a little later in this same year, in 1980, they dropped the name Leijac and just went with Konami, and their first game was called The End, which was also licensed to Stern. But in this game, you control this laser base at the bottom. You can move it left and right. There are 2 sets of 5 columns, so a total of 10 columns, in which these invaders are dropped into from a giant mothership at the top. And there are 4 invaders that can be put into one column, and after that any extra invaders will drop, and they will fall, and they will make this wide explosion when they hit the ground, and the explosion can take you out. Hiding under the left and right corners, see where there's a little gap under the left and right walls, hiding under there is safe. You will not get hit by an invader. There will be open columns to the left, in the middle of, and to the right of those 2 sets of 5 columns. And that is where this saucer will descend. If you let the saucer hit the ground, you will lose a life, so you must shoot it. Now there is a trick to getting the maximum amount of points for that saucer, which is 400 in this game. Fire 14 shots to begin with, and with the 15th shot, hit that saucer, and you will get the maximum amount. And I'm going to do that here, 400. And then after that, every 16th shot, hit that saucer. But it's just about impossible to do every time, because the saucer just descends too quickly, and you have to keep killing it. But like I said, you can hide under the left and right walls and be safe from the explosion from the descending enemies. You get like 10 points for shooting one while it's in a column, and you get 20 points for shooting it while it's descending. You know, while one of the little enemies are falling. The other point values you can get for the saucer are like 100, 200, and 300. But the saucer will always appear in this order, and it will restart its pattern, I think, on your next life. All you have to do is survive X amount of dropped enemies, and then that mothership at the top will bring more. And you will see the counter on that mothership of how many invaders are left. So yeah, all you have to do is survive them, and then you'll move on to the next one. Yikes. A simple strategy, which can get you a respectable score, is to clear, as best as you can, the two columns to the left of the middle and the two columns to the right of the middle. So let's say that's columns 4, 5, and 6 and 7. Just try to keep those as clear as possible. Or at least keep it down to like 2 invaders. If you keep them... If you keep them from getting too full so that invaders drop, you will have enough space to be between the exploding invaders that if you stay in the middle, that you won't get hit. But yeah, snake over when you can and try to clear out the, oh, that was close. Try to clear out the 4th, 5th, and 6th and 7th columns. I remember seeing this in the arcades. The first place I remember seeing it, I think, was at a place called the Joy Theater in Tigard, Oregon, where I went to see movies back in the day, and that theater is still there. It's kind of it's actually a very old building. They still play movies there. But yeah, you cannot let that saucer land on the ground. Kamikaze is a little bit different from this game. It's harder. The potential for a greater score for the saucer is there. That score can be up to 800 points for the saucer. But enemies can be dropped. The smaller enemies can be dropped on the far left and right columns, and they won't stack up like they do in the other columns. They'll just drop straight down, so you can't hide under the left and right walls like in this game. But we will look at me playing a game of Kamikaze a little later on, and that is the original game. And again, this is Astro Invader under the Stern license in the US. I guess this got a homebrew release on the ColecoVision, was it, I believe? But yeah, I definitely saw this in arcades, and it's all right. It's not bad for 1980. I had a much better game once I figured out. Ooh, I got the top 400 score there. Once I figured out, try to clear out the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th columns as best as you can. Although later on in the game, they just fall through so fast, it's very hard. But not a bad game. This is probably the best I've ever done at this. But yeah, that's Astro Invader, and in just a little bit, we will look at Kamikaze. I barely got that saucer there. And again, you cannot hide under the left and right walls in Kamikaze. Both games were created in 1980. But note that the mothership says Leijac instead of Stern on it. And again, Leijac later on in 1980 was known as Konami. And yeah, you see the small enemies will fall through the left or right columns. And so there's no way to hide under the left and right walls. and the invader's blast radius or explosion radius is wider. Yeah, you can get a whopping 800 for the UFO, but the added difficulty of the wide explosion radius nullifies that benefit, and the fact that you can't hide under the left and right, and the aliens will fall through the left and right columns. So I prefer Astro Invader for those reasons. It might be prudent for this game to see if you can wipe out more columns, or try to keep more columns clear than just 4. And just like in Astro Invader, the mothership flies off and returns with more invaders once that counter drops down to 0. Yeah, and it always starts out with 100 invaders, and once that's out, then it will go back and get more. But yeah, this is the original game, Kamikaze. Yeah, that blast radius is at least noticeably bigger than in Astro Invader. Yeah, their first game as Konami was The End, and I have a video of that game. It's not a particularly good game. God, that is one wide-ass explosion radius. Holy crap. Yeah, I definitely prefer Astro Invader over Kamikaze. But yeah, it looks like there's a color overlay, but there isn't. This is all in color. Yeah, I saw this at multiple arcades, but yeah, the first one I remember seeing it at was the movie theater. The Joy Theater in Tigard, Oregon, back in the day. I think I saw that in 1981, and I went to see a really stupid movie called Super Fuzz. It's about a policeman with superpowers. It was really, really, really dumb. It was like my friend's 11th birthday or something, or 10th birthday or something like that. We all went to the theater to see it. Even as kids, we knew it was stupid. But that's where I first saw Astro Invader. And of course, Kamikaze was Japan only, as far as I know. Oh, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that the counting your shots trick to get the maximum score out of the saucer in Astro Invader works in Kamikaze, but you get different point values. But I greatly prefer... God, that's ridiculous. I greatly prefer Astro Invader. Well, we've been looking at Astro Invader by Stern in 1980. By Leijac / Konami and licensed to Stern. Well, this is Crazy Climber saying thanks for watching Astro Invader by Leijac / Konami and licensed to Stern. I will catch you later in the future with another video. Y'all hope you had a great weekend. Bye-bye, folks.